People living in third world countries, what is something that is a part of your everyday life that people in first world countries would not understand cope with? Egypt here. Crossing the street is some kind of a sick sport. I was in Egypt while it was under Mubarak. And I remember trying to contend with traffic in Cairo. I had to ask the police officer who was standing there if the drivers obey the lights or the road markings. He told me that those were there to make the roads look nice. I chickened out from crossing the street and tried to find a metro station to cut through. Even if I had to pay the £1 to enter. Edit. Stepped away for a few hours. And this post blew up. Realizing that my money and any more I could make is worth 5x less now. Welcome to Lebanon. Visited Lebanon once. Friendly people. Fantastic food. It's too bad that politicians screw everything up. Not just in Lebanon, but everywhere. I'll start. In my country, the government switches off all electricity for 2-3 hours at a time. Several times a day. To reduce load on the power systems. As I am busy typing this, I'm sitting by candlelight in complete darkness. Edit. I've been waiting to be able to make this edit on a post, but thank you. My first awards. Looks like there does come something good from load shedding. I live in California and they are doing that this weekend. Did it a few weeks ago and last year as well. This is mostly because of risk from heat waves, forest fires, and overloading systems. But it's certainly not common and a lot of people are very upset that such a thing is happening at all. Here in Peru, especially if you are not from the capital, to get a medical appointment you need to wait 3 months. For surgeries or actual medical treatments it can take over a year, so many people I knew got random appointments just in case something happens. You'd better suffer the hemorrhage that day or you have to pray for the eucalyptus tea to actually work. Thank goodness I was able to move to the capital some years ago. Having to stand for hours in bread lines. Then 4 hours at the petrol lines, then 4 hours at the cooking gas lines. Then coming back home to find that they shut off the electricity because there's too much load. Having a shitty ton of deterrence mechanisms around your house. Burglar bars on all the windows. Trailers doors on your front door and then probably one in the bedroom hallway. Keeping your door locked. If you don't have a fence you're just asking people to break in and murder you. South Africa. I'm Canadian. And I've visited my South African in-laws twice now. One of the biggest culture shocks for me was having to be locked up so tight. Being able to safely be in an unfenced backyard or take a walk by myself at nearly any time of day is a luxury I no longer take for granted. In Argentina the price of everything raises almost every day. RG here. I would say inflation and insecurity are the worst. Prices are a nightmare. If I'm walking down the street, alone, and hear a motorcycle approaching I start having palpitations. I was robbed 2 weeks ago by a dude on motorcycle, took my cell phone off my hands and went away, so now I'm even more paranoid. I can't go to certain neighborhoods or being late at night without being paranoid. IDK in other countries but here thieves on motorcycles are a thing and even have a name for it, motochores. Armed security people. Go to the bank. 2 guys holding AR-15 at the entrance. The beer delivery truck. Guy with a shotgun. Whenever there's money involved there will be guys holding big guns. I've been pointed twice while walking on the wrong side of the street. I visited family in El Salvador about a decade ago now and it was like this at the time. There were guys with guns guarding things I wouldn't see at home, in the US. There was a man with a shotgun guarding a gas station and buffet style restaurant food place. This was along the road and not in town. I also remember there was a guy who watched all the cars at this big grocery store while people went shopping. And my aunt would give him small change as a tip. Stray dogs. Stray dogs, which some of them are hostile, are everywhere. It is not possible to roam in the streets around sunrise when they walk in groups or during night without risking yourself being attacked by dogs. I moved to Europe now but I am still unreasonably nervous around leashed dogs that people walking. We had a small scare recently with coyotes losing fear of people. And everybody here lost their minds when one sadly attacked a child. I can't even imagine how most here would cope with that becoming a daily. Oh yeah, no. Don't bother going out at night. You'll be eaten alive by dogs. I'm American but have worked in 70 plus countries over the last 12 years. So let's discuss Nicaragua. There are no addresses. None. Trying to get to your hotel? You'll get a description of the general location using the rising or setting sun, lakeshores and other prominent landmarks which may or may not exist. Then the distance from that landmark and a unit of measurement that hasn't been used for centuries. The vara. Which is about 5 feet. It's truly amazing that anyone gets anywhere in Nicaragua. One aspect of living in a first world country is that it's normal for things to work. In third world countries, it's the opposite. Technology, roads, institutions. There is a tacit assumption that none of these things work the way they're supposed to. And that's just the way it is. When you live in the third world, your roads are full of potholes. Your lights go out every week, if not every day. Everything is on the fritz and politicians are incredibly corrupt. And yes, I know that there's corruption in Europe and the US as well. But it's not like our corruption. Example. In the summer of 2016 I took a trip to Germany and I was at the Hamburg train station, waiting for the 6:50 train to Bremen. At 6:45 the train station attendant announced that the 6:50 train was cancelled, but that there was another at 7:05 and that the train company would be happy to exchange everyone's tickets at no cost. There would be, at most, a half-hour delay. People were flipping the FCK out. A girl called her parents in tears. A couple threatened to sue or kill or maim the train station attendant. My German isn't great and neither is my irate German. It was like someone had declared WW3 over a half-hour train delay. In my country, on the other hand, there are no half-hour train delays. Because there are no trains. Shit. I wish we had trains. I walk with my cell phone hidden in my pants because it's extremely common for you to get robbed. I've been through a violent robbery at a dinning. And very few people I know haven't been through similar experiences. Multiple times even. I always carry 2 cell phones with me. One is my real cell phone. I hide it in my backpack. If I don't carry the backpack then in one of my socks, lol. I carry the other cell phone in my pocket. It is useless. It broke 5 years ago and has no repair. If someone tried to rob me I would give them the fake cell phone. I learned this trick from a friend. A gang member tried to rob him. He told him to give him his cell phone. So he took out his fake cell phone and threw it as far as he could. The gang member went after the cell phone and my friend used that moment to run. The gang member realized what was happening. But it was too late. My friend managed to get to a store with security guards where they helped him and called the police. Sorry for my bad English. 4 mega internet speed is like the fastest internet connection in Venezuela. I am assuming this is the Philippines. The weirdest thing with those security checks as you entered a mall etc. is as a white foreigner they would just wave us through. Rucksack on, who cares, good afternoon sir, could probably walk on with a shotgun and would still have them say that. It was also so weird seeing the Filipinos being taken aside and not allowed to leave at the airport. Seems unbelievable. It almost always seemed to be women as well. Also the level of corruption that is obvious and in your face is shocking. Yeah, we have corruption over here but it's hidden away so don't think about it. But flash your GovTide and you could get away with anything. I lived in a small, very remote, fly in fly out community in the Canadian Arctic. Because of the permafrost and ridiculous winters, water couldn't be piped to houses or buildings. Instead, each house had a water tank and water trucks would drive around every day and fill them up. It was all fine and good as long as you didn't use more water than normal. Have a few friends over? Run out of water. Cook a holiday meal? Run out of water. Try to catch up on the laundry you've been neglecting? Run out of water. The worst was parties. Imagine 20-30 drunk people in a house with one bathroom. And the water suddenly runs out. Toilet no longer flushes but everybody still has to pee. So they just keep pissing in the toilet without flushing. Fills up damn quick and stinks. Game over if anyone takes a dump. But that's just the way it was. Shootings every month in front of my house. Here's the thing with Mexico. The level of inequality is frightening. Human Development Index in Tlahuac Borough of Mexico City is comparable to that of sub-Saharan countries. While Benito Juarez Borough, also in Mexico City, has an HDI comparable to that of Germany. Mexico City is one of the richest cities in the world. In terms of GDP, Mexico City rivals cities like Paris, while parts of southwestern Mexico, close to the border with Guatemala, are among the poorest places in the world. Hospitals in the hospital zone in Mexico City have world-class facilities and doctors, and are at the vanguard in higher-level medical research. While a simple diarrhea can be deadly in the southern mountains, large cities, like Mexico City, Monterrey, Guadalajara and Puebla, have very good universities, both private and public, that are often ranked among the best in Latin America and the world. While you'll be lucky if you found a school with concrete floor and electrical lighting in most of rural Mexico. We only get running water twice a week, so you have to have a tank full of water in the backyard for the rest of the week. Have to ask if they have breed at the bakery. Everyone has a gun. They are not legal. Metal bars on windows and doors for safety. If you get robbed, the probabilities of the thief being a cop are high. People pay criminals to find missing people. Underage drinking is seen as normal. I bought bottles of alcohol many times while in high school and no one cared. -9 times out of 10 you have to go to the neighboring country to buy medicine. You have to give your kids the vaccines that are required by the time they are 11 or they won't go from the 6th to the 7th grade. I don't know if they still do this though. Have to hide your phone in your pants when going out. You can only buy 120 liters of gasoline monthly in the national currency. If you want to buy more you have to pay $30+. Even tough, most people in the country don't get paid in dollars. This is just a social aspect of it. Where I'm from, South India, it's against the school rules or any rules in fact to date people. Like you just weren't allowed to have crushes. Be in love. Forget any physical intimacy. Just the concept was forbidden. I know the people in this thread are toning it down, but personally I find living in a third world country unbearable now that I've moved to the States. I moved to maybe 20 of them while I was a kid in Africa. And some are better than others, but now it's not good. The corruption is serious. Like, I don't think people get how serious it is. Cops ask for bribes constantly. Security is armed to the teeth and at the complete mercy of whoever hired them. The government has complete control. Food, water and electricity are not guarantees. You have to hustle to get internet in some places. Your house is super protected because people try to break in. You see people starving to death. Thirsty. Going mad. Sick. Clearly maimed people begging on the street. Kids hearing that people they know are dead is a regular occurrence. You may even see someone that died on the road. That's just in an average place. In the really bad places I've met mercenaries. People that have killed. Women fleeing traffickers. Autistic and mentally ill children that were cast from society for being different. Hell, slavery was legal one place I lived until 2007. All of this was seen before I turned 17. This is also ignoring the social problems that rampantly exist in those societies due to colonization and the West being perceived as better. You frequently meet people with such potential that have been beaten down by their society. To function in those societies you have to consciously ignore the horrible things you are seeing and experiencing. It made me extremely strong mentally compared to most people I meet in the States, but I couldn't remain blind to what I was seeing. Chose to go to college somewhere else. Whenever I go home I freak out because the problems are huge. I can't focus on the positives. We truly value family. It's all you have left when material possessions are stripped or scarce. We respect our elderly and treat the young with as much love as impoverished people can. Edit. I live in Egypt. It's a daily routine to search streets for clothes and food. Our only source of income is a few camels from which we sell milk. Unfortunately, times are getting a little challenging and we are considering selling one camel for some gas tanks to heat our food. This is a shared phone that I can only use for a couple hours a day to assist my study. I found a torn English dictionary and it is my most valuable possession. Reddit is my brief escape from the reality I live in, but nevertheless I am content with my life. I have my family who love me and that's all that really matters. Thank you so much for your kindness, it has made my entire week. Close bracket. Casteism is a thing here. People get killed for just accidentally touching a glass meant for a higher caste individual. I wish this weren't the case, but it is. Also, zero regard for road rules and regulations. Oh, it's a red? Gotta go, guns blazing at a 100 kmph. Public urination. I could go on, but I feel like you all can guess my country. I've seen a billion times in TV or whatever media that in the US they drink straight from the sink, but if you do that in Mexico you would end up with cholera or some weird disease. Brazil. Even though I live in a very good neighborhood, honestly it's the constant threat of violence everywhere you walk past 9 PM. I don't know if first world countries experience that, but it's something we're used to dealing with now. I don't know how it is in other countries, but here, Poland, I've never felt that fear. Many times I'd walk around the city in the middle of the night without even thinking about it, and I'm a woman. Sometimes I think to myself, this whole city is my home. I'm safe at home. It's shocking to me to think that you guys got used to feeling unsafe. The level of corruption. If you want to get something simple done, like get a passport or receive a duplicate of your high school diploma, it's all handled by the government, which is oversaturated. So it takes months, even years for things to happen. Unless you pay someone a small bribe, then it gets done immediately. Third world doesn't mean poor. It means unequal. The rich folks have everything and live just like they do in America. But the poor, they're poorer than your worst nightmares. The poor in third world countries see the poorest beggar in America and dream to one day be as rich as they. They are excluded from so much and no one cares. Funny thing is that many of these third world countries spend fortunes on welfare initiatives that never work, and which are instead used to funnel money to corporations owned by politicians, or to move people in need to vote a certain way. People will sell their vote for a meal, because sometimes one meal is all they'll have for weeks. The powerful want the inequality because that makes it easier and cheaper to manipulate the poor. Third world doesn't mean poor country. It means unequal country. I currently am a medic in UK. When I worked in public health sector in India, there would often be multiple babies who needed ventilator but none available, so we would sometimes put breathing tubes and manually press a bag all night every few seconds hoping the baby would survive. Sometimes multiple babies would need it and we'd just make the parents do it due to lack of enough people. Most of those babies died. It's heartbreaking and unimaginable to developed country medical facilities. Technically, having a boyfriend-girlfriend is against the law in Iran. We still have a significant other, but sometimes when you're walking in the street, police might stop you and ask for your marriage license. And if you don't, it actually can be a real problem. Women with 3 warnings should appear in court and men will be fined and maybe caught too. Even if you're not together, just friends, you might end up in court just because you had a friend from the opposite sex. And I can list crap like this till tomorrow and it won't be half of the shit we go through in Iran. Edit. Spelling correction. I was looking for a comment about Iran. And just as you said, you could list crap for ages and still not cover the majority of the issues in Iran. The government is an absolute show. A lot of what goes on is laughable and essentially has destroyed Iran's reputation for years now. At the same time, I really do hope things get better. You only have a nice dinner once per month, once the paycheck comes in. A nice dinner for most people being a $4 roasted chicken and homemade fries. I'm from US. But 2 things that stuck out after a trip to Guatemala, aside from the extreme poverty, was 1. Don't flush the toilet paper. 2. There's no postal service. Cats. So many stray cats. I lived in a developing nation for a few years and that's one of many things that stood out for me. Outrageous quantities of stray litters. You'd see 30-40 cats around the trash behind restaurants sometimes. I guess at least you knew there wasn't a rat problem. In St. Petersburg, Russia, it's completely normal that the city shuts off your hot water in summer for maintenance for about 2 weeks. They go block by block and put up notices. So you just kinda deal with having to go to your friends to shower for a while and vice versa. You go to police station only when you are invited or it is absolutely necessary. Police is not for our help. If you want to report an affair, you have to pay bribes. They are the biggest scum criminals here and if you are poor then you are pretty much fucked. Watching America protesting against a single murder looks cute in comparison. If you have any sorts of money and show it, you're just asking to be robbed and or killed. In a first world country, thieves wait until you're away from home and then break into your house. In a third world country, they'll break into your house while you're at home, rob you at gunpoint, pay your wife and your daughter and then kill your whole family. If you're lucky they'll just shoot you in the head or slit your throat, but God forbid they have some sadistic tendencies because then they'll make it slow and painful. If you're rich, it's just not worth living in a third world country unless you have armed security. All those rich families living in the Hamptons or Hollywood Hills, or the UK, French, and German equivalents, don't have to worry about having their house sacked like a 10th century English town by murderous thieves. Presidential re-election is prohibited in my country. So the country is reinvented every 6 years and therefore it's impossible to take ambitious projects. The current president cancelled a big new airport just because it was started by a rival party and he never proved if there was something wrong with the project. And here's another one. In my country, having lunch with water is seen as poor and sad. So a lot of people is addicted to soda, especially Coca-Cola. In a village I visit in Honduras, they get drinkable water once every 8 days. Any other water they get they either have to get out of a muddy creek or catch in the peeler, like a small cistern. If you get sick, you're pretty much on your own. Simple things like a cold can kill you. Cops are not your friends. In fact they are probably friends with robbers. We have water once every 3 months. You have a tank with water and you must be very good at rationing it if you are robbed, raped or a victim of any crime. You should think carefully before calling the police. Something like, is this really worth taking a chance on? Forget about delivery services. They don't exist. They are not safe. Do you want to buy something on the internet? Forget did you buy something online and use a generic mail service. Goodbye to your object. Wait 10 hours in line to buy food. Yes, the fact that you will see people die in front of your eyes for violent crimes several times during your life and you will accept it as normal. Learn to detect people within a 200-meter radius around you. When you walk down the street your currency loses value in exponentials. Literally Spotify, Uber, SoundCloud, Netflix, lol.